Hello, everyone. We have social studies for today, and we shall look at governance, politics, and stability. Under it, we shall talk about colonization and national development. What are we learning today? That is our objective. We shall explain the term Trans-Saharan trade. We shall locate the roots of the Trans-Saharan trade in Africa and beyond. We shall identify the items involved in the trade. Then we shall state 4 effects of the trade on Western Sudan, and then we shall look at the factors leading to the decline of the Trans-Saharan trade. Great. So let's look at Trans-Saharan trade. Trans-Saharan trade requires travel across the Sahara between Sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa. This trade existed from prehistoric times. The peak of the trade extended from the 8th century until the early 17th century. So it lasted for long. The Sahara once had a different environment, and when we talk about this, it simply means that in Libya and Algeria, there has been some evidence which shows that the place was once a forest because of the drawings on the stones and the rocks, which depicts that animals were grazing at the place. So from at least 7,000 BC, there were pastoralism. And when we talk of pastoralism, it simply means the herding of sheep, goats, large settlements, and poultry. Great. Now, the Trans-Saharan trade route, let us look at it. So looking at this, the Sudan is over here, and the whole portion of the trade existed at the western part of Sudan. So it even moved beyond Africa to Saudi Arabia and even Europe. Let's look at this map again, so you can see from Egypt, then we have the Ethiopia and Sudan, and then it even moved across the ocean to Arabia, and then from Morocco to Europe, and then it moved down from the Empire of Ghana to the Empire of Mali to Kano and the coast. And when we talk of Kano, we are talking about Nigeria. It's a state in Nigeria. So the trade really existed around this area because of the Ghana Empire and the Mali Empire. Great. Now let's look at the items involved in the trade. They were trading beads, salt, clothes, spices, textile, camels, gunpowder, ivory, guns, ostrich feathers, gold, and kola nuts. So these were the items which were moving across the various places. Great. We shall look at the effect of the Trans-Saharan trade on Western Sudan. But before that, let me make it clear that the effects are of two folds. So we shall look at the negative effect and then the positive effect. So our first effect is the positive effect. And the first effect was exploitation of mineral resources or creation of wealth. So the Trans-Saharan trade encouraged the exploitation of mineral resources such as gold and salt in Western Sudan. This made the Western Sudanese very rich and famous. The second effect is creation of traveling opportunity. The Trans-Saharan trade also created opportunity for people, organization, religious leaders, workers, etc. to acquire traveling experiences. They were able to cross the Sahara Desert from the first time to engage in various activities including trading and education. Great. So these were some of the things that it created, the opportunities. The third one is the spread of culture. The spread of culture. How the spread of culture. The Trans-Saharan trade brought about different people and cultures from the Berbers. When we talk of Berbers, we are talking of the North Africans and Arabians from the Middle East to Western Sudan. That's the Negroes. This led to the spread of new culture in Western Sudan. Great. Then the next one is provision of regular income. The rulers of Western Sudan took advantage of the trading activities and introduced custom duties on import and export services. This made them enjoy regular income to strengthen their power and authority. So in everything, we have positive aspect of it. And then we have the next one to be the spread of Islamic education and literacy. And it explains, or I explain it in this way. The Trans-Saharan trade also promoted Islamic education. In view of this, an institution known as Ahmed Baba Institute and other learning centers such as the Sankore University were established at Timbuktu. So last time I was saying that the first university in the oldest university in Africa is found at the north part of Africa, and is the Sankore University in Timbuktu. This institution promoted the learning of Arabic in Western Sudan and also attracted scholars from the Muslim world to learn. So these are some of the positive effects of this trade. Now, let's move on to look at the negative effects. Let's look at the negative effects. And the first one was the first one is the introduction of robbery attack at the trade routes. The robbery attack at the trade routes. So some people, mainly the Tuareg, who were the tribesmen, took advantage of the trade to rob the traders of their items at the trade routes. Other traders were also killed and harassed by these tribemen. The tribemen, that is the Tuareg on the trade routes. So since people know that people are plying the route in which they have money, definitely armed robbers will involve themselves in it, and it is happening now in Ghana also. Then we have frequent shortage of food and water. That's the next point. The dry nature and condition of the Western Sudan, especially on the Sahara Desert, affected the traders and their camels. This is because they faced problems of shortage of water and food. They had to carry along water and food on the journey, but not enough to sustain them. That's the next point. Then the third point is problem of accommodation. Problem of accommodation. The Trans-Saharan trade also forced traders to travel long distance without rest or sleep. This is because they could not find a place or any village to lay their heads or rest. Let's look at the next one. That's language barrier or language problem. The problem of language barrier made it difficult for the traders to communicate and understand themselves. This is because they were from different location and society. This made business transaction among them very difficult. So it is still happening when you move from one region to another region and you do not understand their language. You know how uncomfortable you feel. So that is what happened. Now, let's move on to look at the factors that led to the factor that made the whole issue to stop, or the whole trade to stop. So the first one is the gold and salt got exhausted. So the gold and salt got exhausted at the mining site. So people were no more interested in it. And then we have the next one. The fall of empires like the Songhai caused political instability and insecurity in the region. I showed the map to you. And then the next one is the external invasion by Morocco. Caused destruction of some commercial centers like Gao and Timbuktu. So these were some of the factors that led to the decline of the Trans-Saharan trade. Great. So let's look at our reflection. What have we learned today? In today's lesson, we learned about the Trans-Saharan trade. And we said this requires travel across the Sahara between Sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa. Then we went on to look at the items in which they traded in. We said there are beads, salt, textile, clothes, spices, and the rest. Then again, we look at some positive effects: exploitation of natural resources, creation of travel opportunities, and the rest, spread of culture, provision of regular income, spread of Islamic education and literacy, and then the negative effect: introduction of robbery, attack, and the trade routes, frequent shortage of food and water, problem of accommodation, and then language barrier. Then the factors have gold and salt got exhausted. Fall of empires like Songhai caused political instability and insecurity in the region. Then we look at the external invasion by Morocco caused the destruction of some commercial centers like Gao and Timbuktu. So in our next meeting, we shall look at the transatlantic slave trade. I urge you all to revise your notes. Thank you for your attention.